If there's only one linear drum fill that every drummer needs to know, then this is it. Often referred to as Bonham Triplets, thanks to John Bonham of Led Zeppelin using this all the time in his drum fills and drum solos. You can also trace this back to jazz drummers such as Elvin Jones, who was a big inspiration for John Bonham. And since then, this fill has been passed down through generations of drummers. From Roger Taylor of Queen, Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins, Chad Smith. Pretty much every rock drummer pulls this out the bag at some point. And it's not just a key part of any rock drummer's vocabulary. Its linear nature makes it a really good starting point if you want to develop your gospel chops, as it's pretty much the simplest form of a linear drum fill. So once you've got the hang of this fill and you start to use it with more speed and more creativity, you'll want to use it at every available opportunity. It's really fun and it's really easy to get started with. So let's get into it. So the Bonham Triplet is made up of just 3 notes, as the triplet in the name would suggest. We need to play right, left, kick as evenly spaced triplet notes. This is the key to making it flow and giving that thunderous kind of rolling effect. So make sure that you are playing evenly spaced triplets and not 2/16 and 1/8 note. So if I play that pattern just on the snare drum and the kick, it should sound like this. There's other inversions of this pattern, so you could play the kick on the first note and play kick right left. Or putting the kick in the middle, so you'd start with your left hand and play left kick right. And you should really work on all of these inversions if you really want to get the most out of this idea. But I always feel more comfortable using this in right left kick, and it seems to be the most commonly used version of this pattern too. Now, before the Led Zeppelin nerds chime in on the comments section, I'm aware that John Bonham used to play this left-hand lead. So he'd play a left-right kick, left-right kick, left-right kick. But quite honestly, I suck at playing a left-hand lead, so I don't really bother with it too much. I tend to lead with a stronger right hand. So if there's a different inversion of this, or you prefer to lead with your left, go with what works for you. There's a free PDF in the description of this video where I'll put all of those inversions, and also the rest of the exercises from the video will all be available there too. And if you find this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. So sticking with right left kick for the remainder of the video, let's start off with our right hand on the floor tom, left hand on the rack tom, and then the kick on the third note. Try to develop a good flow and keep the volume even between your hands and your kick. As you try to speed this up, you might find that you find it difficult to separate your right hand and your right foot, and you end up going. So be wary of that as you start to push the tempo. I used to just sit and practice this, starting off slow and gradually getting faster until it started to get messy, then I would bring it back down. So something like this. So just be aware as you start to increase the tempo that you're not losing the space in between the notes and you're not starting to crush them up, or your right foot's not playing over the top of your right hand. Something to keep in mind when you're doing that to keep all the notes even is you're trying to create this wave motion where they're all moving perfectly out of sync with each other. So thinking of each note separately, as you play the right hand, your left hand's moving upwards. As you play the left hand, your right foot upwards. And as you play the kick note, your right hand's coming back to the top, so you're keeping them out of sync. Try and keep this wave moving all the time. So always work on accuracy and control, making sure you're hitting the middle of the toms, making sure you're keeping the notes evenly spaced, you're keeping the volume nice and level too, because it sounds messy if you start to lose the volume in. Say the kick drum is quieter than the hands. It just sounds really sloppy. So try to keep it nice and consistent, nice and loud. nice and flat and even. So now let's start to move things around the drums and play some more interesting patterns. Simplicity and repetition are what makes this thing sound great. So we're going to keep things dead simple. All we're going to do in the first place is alternate the right hand between the snare drum and play one triplet from there, and then over to the floor tom, and just alternate between those two. So let's go ahead and put that same pattern into the context of a drum fill. It usually sounds better when it's a bit quicker, so we're going to play it as 16th note triplets. 1 and a 1 and a 2 and a 2 and a 3 and a 3 and a 4 and a 4 and a. But we're not going to use it on beat 4, so we're going to do the triplet over the first 3 beats of the bar, and then on beat 4, play a snare on 4 with a nice big flam, and a kick on the 8th note. 1 and a 1 and a 2 and a 2 and a 3 and a 3 and a 4 and. If you play the triplets all the way through to the end of the bar, it's quite difficult to get out because you want to hit the snare on beat 1 of the next bar, where you'd usually play the kick, because the kick will be playing the last note of the fill. So cutting the triplet off early and putting a big flam on the end or a different way to get out of it just gives the fill a stronger and a more definite ending. So let's play a 1 bar of a groove, keep it dead simple just to give yourself some time, and then the 1 bar drum fill. Another effective way to use the same thing is to do it in groups of 3. So play the first group on the snare again, and then 2 groups of the floor tom triplet. To fit that into the same 1 bar fill as before, just play the group of 3 twice, and then the flam and kick on the 4th beat again. So again with the groove before it. Another example is to do the same but with a group of 4 and then a group of 2. So 1 and a 1 and a 2 and a 2 and a 3 and a 3 and a 4 and. Again in the context of a drum fill. There's lots of different combinations that you can try out just with this simple idea. Think about where you want the snare to mark out the musical phrase that you're trying to bring out. Once you're confident using this triplet lick, it really works wherever you can move your hands around the kit. You can try alternating the left hand between the rack and the snare, playing both hands on one drum between the snare and around the toms, and of course crossing your hands over if you want to look extra cool in the middle of your drum solo or your drum fill. So spend some time just repeating the pattern and trying to move it around the kit and just experiment and try and discover where you can use this repetitive pattern. So this Bonham Triplet doesn't only work in triplet form, it works really well if you use it within 16th notes as well. Because we're using 3 notes, within a framework of 4 notes per beat, we get this cool syncopated polyrhythm 3/4 idea. So we're going to play the 3-note lick 4 times to give us 12 of the 16 notes, and the remaining 4 just use 4 single strokes to get out of the fill. Let's try that just on between the snare and the kick to feel how it goes against the quarter note. I'll keep the quarter note on the hi-hat. Again, put that into the context of a 1-bar 16th note fill. And again, try and use the same ideas as before. Just try alternating your right hand between the snare and the floor tom in different combinations. Or try keeping both hands on the same drum as you move around the kit. So there's 2 different ways to get started with this Bonham triplet idea. Obviously the triplet idea is the more traditional kind of Bonham triplet, but taking it out of the box a little bit and put it over 16ths kind of puts it in more of a kind of gospel chop context. So have fun with this, take your time when you're first getting to grips with it, making sure that you keep it accurate and under control. Then you can start to get creative, and really it's all about discovering what you can do with this. Go and check out how other drummers use it. My introduction to this fill was from Dave Grohl, really. So the ideas that I've used in this video are very kind of Dave Grohl-esque, moving it between the snare and the floor tom. But go and check out how Elvin Jones used to use it, which is where John Bonham got it from. He used to actually use the left foot quite often instead of the right foot. Go and watch how Roger Taylor, Taylor Hawkins, Chad Smith, any modern rock drummer will be using this, particularly in drum solos. And you can start to put your own spin on it, or just nick their ideas. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to check out another cool linear fill idea, then check out this video, and I'll see you in the next one.